Have you ever heard a story that seems too strange to be true? Well, let me tell you about Bahati, a woman from the village of Kasaira, whose life changed in the most mysterious way, but at a price no one expected. My name is Bahati, and I grew up in a place where dreams seemed to evaporate under the scorching sun. I was poor, so poor that my home barely provided shelter. The roof leaked when it rained, and the cold wind slipped through the broken windows as if mocking me. Every night, I curled up on the cold floor, praying for the dawn to bring something better. But my mornings were always the same. Struggle after struggle. I worked tirelessly, washing clothes, fetching water, and laboring in neighbors' fields. Yet my hands always came back empty. Unlike the other women in Kasaira, I had no husband, no children, not even a close friend. To them I was Bahati, the cursed woman. Men kept their distance, fearing my supposed misfortune might rub off on them. One afternoon, while washing clothes in the river, my life took an unexpected turn. A woman appeared out of nowhere. She wore clothes that shimmered as if they belonged to a queen. "Good day," she said in a soft voice, like the purr of a satisfied cat. For a moment, I thought she had mistaken me for someone else. But then she said, "You must be Bahati." My heart skipped a beat. How did she know my name? She wasn't from the village. That much was clear. Here everyone knew me, but no one, absolutely no one, sought me out or spoke to me so directly. My voice came out as a whisper. "Yes, that's me. Can I help you?" The woman took a step closer, and the soft jingling of her jewelry filled the air. "My name is Naya. I've been watching you." My mind filled with questions. "Watching me? Why?" Before I could say anything, she continued, "I know life hasn't been kind to you. I know what you've been through, Bahati. But today could be the beginning of something different." Distrust burned in my throat. How could someone like her know anything about my life? Why would she care? As I wrestled between fear and curiosity, Naya pulled something from her bag. A bundle of bills, crisp and new. It was more money than I had ever seen in my life. "I want to propose a deal," she said, holding the money right in front of me. The world seemed to stop. My mouth was dry as the words rolled slowly off my tongue. "What kind of deal?" Naya smiled, leaning slightly closer to me. "Simple. I need you to collect old clothes from the women in the village. Undergarments, specifically. Bring as many as you can, and each time, I'll pay you handsomely." I felt a knot in my stomach. "Undergarments," I repeated, incredulous. "What for?" "That's not something you need to know," Naya said in a firm tone that silenced any further questions. "Just trust me. Do as I ask, and you'll never know hunger again." I wanted to refuse. Something about her proposal didn't feel right. But my eyes were fixed on the money, on the promise of a different future. How many times had I dreamed of escaping misery? How many nights had I prayed for a miracle? Maybe this was the miracle I had been waiting for. Naya extended the bundle toward me. "Take it, Bahati. This is just the beginning. If you do what I ask, this will be your new reality." The next day, I went door to door in the village with a stack of shiny buckets I had bought with Naya's money. I offered the villagers these buckets in exchange for any old clothes they had. At first, they were skeptical, but the promise of something new and useful convinced them. Soon my sack was full. By nightfall, I brought everything to Naya, who waited for me by the river. She took the undergarments and left the rest. Each time I delivered a new batch, she paid me generously. My life began to transform. My house was repaired, my clothes were new, and for the first time I ate until I was full. But something didn't feel right. Every night, while the villagers slept, I carried the sacks to Naya. She always waited beneath an old baobab tree, surrounded by lit candles. She whispered strange words as the garments vanished into the air. Though my hands were full of money, a shadow of fear began to creep into my heart. What I didn't know was that someone was watching me. Asha had always been a curious spirit, the kind of person who noticed small details others overlooked. She lived near my hut, and although we weren't close friends, her sharp eyes were always on my comings and goings. When I began to thrive seemingly overnight, her suspicions flared like a spark in the dark. One night, unable to contain her curiosity, she decided to follow me. She had noticed how, after sunset, I would leave my house carrying a heavy sack, always with a tense expression and my gaze fixed on the path to the river. Wrapping herself in a thick blanket to avoid being seen, Asha followed me like a shadow. The night air was freezing, and the only sound was the crunch of leaves underfoot. I suspected nothing, too focused on reaching the baobab where Naya was waiting. Hidden among the bushes, Asha watched as I arrived and placed the sack in front of Naya. What she saw left her petrified. Naya was sitting on a flat rock, surrounded by candles that emitted an eerie, almost supernatural glow. Her lips moved in a constant murmur, speaking a language Asha didn't recognize, but it seemed to fill the air with a heavy presence. When Naya opened the sack, Asha saw her set aside the ordinary clothes and focus solely on the undergarments. With a graceful movement, Naya lifted the garments into the air and began whispering even more unsettling words. Suddenly, the garments disappeared before Asha's eyes, vanishing like smoke in the wind, leaving a faint glow in the air. Asha stifled a scream, her body trembling with fear. She wanted to run, but her feet felt rooted to the ground. Only when Naya let out a low, chilling laugh did Asha regain control of her legs and flee. She didn't look back even once as she ran back to the village, her heart pounding in her chest like a war drum. That same night, Asha woke the elders. She knocked on their doors persistently, her voice shaky as she tried to explain what she had seen. The elders, bewildered, gathered in the square to listen to her account. "It's Bahati," Asha exclaimed with a trembling voice. "She goes to the river every night. She meets a woman, a witch. I saw things I can't explain." The garments vanished into thin air. By dawn, the village was in an uproar. Men, women, and children crowded into the central square. The elders, their faces grave, summoned me. I knew something was wrong when I saw the gathered crowd. My legs felt like lead as I walked toward the center of the square. "Bahati," the head elder said, his voice as firm as stone. "Asha has told us something disturbing. Is it true that you've been taking garments to the river at night? What are you hiding?" I wanted to speak, but no words came out. My hands trembled, and I felt the weight of the entire village's gaze pressing down on me like a mountain. Finally, through tears, I spoke. "Naya, she found me at the river," I began, my voice breaking. "She promised me money, a better life. But there were conditions. She made me swear not to tell anyone or she would kill me." Murmurs filled the air, but the elder raised a hand to silence them. "Continue," he said. I told them everything. How Naya had asked me to collect the garments, how she paid me generously, and how the garments disappeared in strange rituals under her hands. "I didn't know what I was doing," I sobbed. "I just wanted to escape my misery. I didn't understand the consequences." The crowd erupted in shouts, some angry, others afraid. The eyes that once pitied me were now full of judgment and mistrust. Asha, standing among them, crossed her arms and said, "We can't ignore this. We must face what's happening before it's too late." The head elder nodded. "We must act. Naya cannot continue operating among us. Bahati, you will take us to the spot tonight. We will end this once and for all." My heart sank. I had been so blinded by the promise of a better life that I hadn't seen the danger I was walking into or the harm I was causing to my own people. That night, I would walk to the river, not as an accomplice but as someone seeking redemption. no matter how high the price. My life was never the same again. I left Kasaira, unable to bear the shame. My story, however, lived on. It became a warning for future generations. Never trust easy promises, because the price is always higher than it seems. And now tell me, what would you have done in my shoes? Leave your comment below and share this story if it left you thinking. Subscribe.